Hey, welcome to Peak Life. I'm Jim Hazel. It's kind of like career day here at Peak Life because with us now is Dr. Benno Rubin with Tidewater Community College, and you're a Pathway Dean. Tell us what that is, Dr. Rubin.
Well, thank you for having me. A Pathway Dean is responsible for a cluster of programs. The college has 9 academic pathways. Mine is manufacturing and transportation, and my responsibility is to oversee the programs that are in that. My specific pathway actually has 2 components: manufacturing, which includes mechatronics and machining, and then transportation, which includes automotive, collision repair, diesel, and marine technology.
And what do you think is the advantage of having these like clusters type situation?
So our students, it gives them an easier way to navigate through our programs. Instead of having 140 plus programs the students have to look through, they have 9 areas of concentration. So in addition to mine, we also have health professions, maritime skill trades, engineering, science and math, business IT, and a few others. But they get to focus on what area they want to go to, and then they meet with advisors over those programs.
Now, speaking of area, all this isn't happening just at the Chesapeake campus. Tell us about how you have, I know you have different locations.
Sure. So the pathways are college-wide. In other words, they're not, while some programs are located at specific locations, we have them, these pathways are college-wide, so you can be a student in any part of the city. What's unique about the manufacturing and transportation pathway, it is all located in Chesapeake.
Okay.
So our automotive, diesel, and marine program are located at the Regional Automotive Center in Oak Brook off of Clearfield Avenue.
Right.
And then our mechatronics and machining programs are located at the Chesapeake campus, on the main campus. And finally, collision repair is actually at the Chesapeake Career Center, and it's also part of the dual enrollment program that we do with Chesapeake Public Schools.
Right, it's right down the hall from us.
Yes.
And how long does this program kind of take? I guess it varies, but tell me about that.
Right. So it depends on the program.
Yeah.
Collision repair is a 3-semester program. If you do it through DE, it's actually a 2-year high school program as well. But we have some programs that you can get employed within 2 semesters. Very quick turnaround, and then we have some that you can get your Applied Associates of Science degree, and it will take 2 years to complete. It's really up to the student how far they want to move and progress through, but employers are actively seeking these students for a job while they're in school.
I'm familiar with the collision repair program here because we've had one of your instructors in here on that, but do you look at the outlook for employments for these people? Is that part of it, and is it vary?
Yes. So every program we have has to lead to a career that has a living wage. And the other part is we have to see if there's a labor market need for those programs. And that's something, as a dean, I have to consistently evaluate that. Now, with that said, these programs are here because the businesses have approached the college and requested that we run these programs.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example on automotive. There's actually 5 automotive programs, not 1. We actually have ties with Toyota, Chrysler, Honda, Ford, and Subaru. And we have programs that specifically train students to work at those franchise stores. And it's supported by corporate. The idea is that all the employers have gotten together to run it. It's not TCC running it and then asking the businesses to be a part.
Right.
It's a collaborative effort.
Now that is a partnership.
Yes.
And that means they achieve certain certifications to work for these people as well?
Absolutely. So in addition to earning the credential from TCC, they earn the what we call OEM, Original Equipment Manufacturer certification for that particular brand.
Okay.
And that's just in automotive.
And tell us, speaking of partnerships, tell me more about the partnership between Chesapeake Public Schools, which is the Career Center, and Tidewater Community College.
Absolutely. So we have 2 dual enrollment programs through our pathway. And they're not the only ones. Other pathways have this as well, but I'll talk a little bit about the 2 that we have.
Yeah.
So the first one's mechatronics. And that
sounds really cool too.
It is. And what mechatronics is, it's a combination of electrical technician and mechanical technician. And it's combined together, and that's the terminology. But this is an individual technician who can work in a manufacturing facility performing diagnostics and repair on the equipment in there, including robots and sorting equipment. So the mechatronics program is a 2-year associate's degree program, but there's also a certificate. Yeah. And the connection to Chesapeake Career Center is that the high school students actually take the classes on our campus. So they actually come from their home schools to the Chesapeake campus, take it with our college instructors in our labs, and the same ones that our regular adult students would take.
Wow, that's terrific. And speaking of certifications, are there certifications for all the different pathways, or Or, you know,
Yeah,
I know you
yes.
touched base on that, but
Right.
can you give us a little more?
So in each pathway, it depends on which program. So I mentioned it in automotive. We prepare our students also for the ASE, the Automotive Service Excellence Exam,
Right.
in auto and diesel. And it's a test that they have to take. We do the preparation, they still have to go out and take it. And then they have the automotive credentials I mentioned earlier. In collision repair, and you heard earlier from Mr. Sells, is we actually grant ICAR, which is their industry credential.
Yeah.
And we actually do that here. He is the granting authority because he's an ICAR certified instructor. So the high school students who are going through his program are coming out credentialed and going out in industry. On the manufacturing side, we have something called NIMS, and that is for our machining program, which is something that the machining industry or the manufacturing industry is, that's about a credential that they.
Right, yeah. Well, tell me about, I know that students, like teenagers, are also working sometimes or in class or lab work with adults.
Yes.
Tell me about that sort of, now that's a cluster.
Well, and the biggest advantage to that is this is a college experience. And
Right.
they're going to be working, because when they go to work, and we co-op is part of many of our programs, they're going to be working with adults in the actual field. So they are training with other adults who are also looking to move into that career field. And it's a much different dynamic in the class,
Yeah.
but it's also very enriching too. You know, and it's funny, sometimes the adults are a little intimidated from the students because they're afraid that from a technology standpoint, they're a little further ahead.
Yeah.
But it works very
You learn
nicely
from
together.
each other.
They learn from each other.
And
Yes.
it seems like you get a jump start into things because, you know, I didn't really work with adults until, you know, I was in my 20s.
Yes. And that's another major factor. It's not a new. The high school student is less intimidated when they get there because they're already used to that dynamic.
Right, right. Well, it sounds like a really cool job. What do you get a lot out of this, or a lot of satisfaction when you see people leap into careers?
Absolutely, and to me, that's the biggest reward out of this.
Yeah.
Is and as a community college dean, we get to bring people in from all walks of life and help them prepare for a career with a living wage. And it's my responsibility to make sure that we have the training and the qualified faculty and the staff, but also to make sure there is a job outcome at the other end. We don't just bring them in and have them take classes. There has to be a job outcome at the end, and that's where my responsibility is to work with the employers and help connect the employers and the students. And because at the end of the day, that's both of our communities. We have this community of students, but we also have a community of employers.
So skills definitely translates into real living wage is
Absolutely.
basically it, right?
That's the whole goal of this.
Yeah.
I mean, our programs are uniquely aligned for that, and not just in my pathway, in the others. If you look at any of the pathways, they're either leading to a transfer opportunity working with the four-year schools, or they're working with employers. Health professionals is another good example. They have relationships with the Centera, with our nursing program, and these programs are designed to get these students employed, and it's in partnership with these companies.
That's terrific. Dr. Rubin, thanks for coming in. How do people get hold of you?
They can either email me or they can reach me out on Tidewater to Community College's website.
Perfect. And thanks again for coming out, and look forward to seeing some more students get out there and get a job, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Peak Life. I'm Jim Hazel. Contact the Career Center or TCC and get started if you haven't already. We'll see you next time.